Huh. Talk about dropping the ball on great potential. What is this, the Oakland Athletics of anime? Oh wait, I guess we're not calling them that anymore. Well, I guess they can distance themselves from that past, unlike what we're gonna talk about. The promised Neverland, a contender for the coolest title this month, is not a contender for biggest disappointment. It's already won. What was a promising story of intrigue and horror spiraled into a messy and ill-fated production of poor planning and lost retention. And there's the big tragedy of it. What could have been? Inside the walls of an orphanage run the happy-go-lucky children and their kindly guardians. One of the girls, Emma, seems to shine the brightest while the lead caretaker, Mother Isabella, lovingly washes over her kids in hopes of getting them adopted soon. When one of the kids is adopted, she leaves her toy behind, to which Emma and another kid, Norman, rush to deliver it to her before she leaves. However, they abruptly discover the girl's dead body, loaded up to become food for demons, with Isabella working in conjunction with them. Horrified and sickened, Emma and Norman somehow escape, and realize that they aren't orphans, but livestock. Between Emma, Norman, and another boy, Ray, they plot to escape with all of their friends before they too are adopted, but not without the loving watchful eye of their mother. I remember when the show first premiered to pretty good reviews, and I saw it and actually agreed. It had solid suspense, building of characters, and a grotesquely cool outlook on hope versus horror. I was excited for season 2 after hearing much praise of the manga's developments because season 1 really did leave off on a strong note. But sadly, if you don't know, the quality of the sequel season took such a downturn, it actually made the show as a whole one of the worst adaptations in recent years. And boy, it is a journey. So let's go through that. The first season focused on the kids as they worked with their ingenuity and their handicaps in a rally of survival. One of the better strengths of the story is the fact that these are kids, and the horror and suspense are amplified through their lenses. It also makes the smaller ones feel much bigger in comparison. On top of that, they're likable. From the downer realist to the hopeful optimist to the straight-thinking planner to even the scared young ones, they are somewhat organic and distinct enough to hope they all make it through. Emma's my favorite because there is a wavering courage that goes with her older sister type role and is not played up for goofs. She's written concretely in this highly pressurized important role model archetype, and she's really solid in that aspect. Over the season's run, the stakes and growing fears become more suffocating with little respites here and there as more mysteries surrounding this world unravel up to the finale. I think it really peaked with Isabella, who's both this incredibly eerie and melancholic figure you can't quite get any good read on. But then season 2 came along, and yeah, it sucks. And that's due entirely by the pacing. It is dreadful. The story becomes rushed, the characterization becomes a footnote, and the worst of all, the atmospheric building that season 1 masterfully crafted falls flat hard. You can't settle into the dread about to come because there is none. The show is more focused on moving the plot along rather than driving in stakes to an established tension. It makes it hard to attach oneself to what's going on because while the characters are fine, the writing is just boring and weightless. Granted, I don't expect the best writing for what is essentially Chicken Run the anime, but when there was precedent beforehand that made that writing stand out in the creepiest and most jolting of ways, you can see the key issues here. The Promised Neverland is unfortunately a good show turned really bad. I know that there are people who don't mind season 2, and I get it. Emma and the gang are still good, and it does technically end on a note, but for me, it lost out on excellent momentum that made it initially stand out and never got it back. If you're the slightest bit curious in how such an interesting show could crumble, this is a prime example to look towards. But if you value your time and want to satisfy and watch from beginning to end with excellent pacing and atmosphere, this probably isn't the best show to adopt in your life.